morning, beautiful people. Welcome to yet another episode of the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah Wachera. I hope you guys have woken up well and are excited to face your day. Yeah? For me, I'm really excited for the conversation we're bringing today, and also because I've said my morning affirmation. Yeah, as it is the norm here at the Younib Breakfast Show, let's go straight to the morning bite of the day. Have you ever felt your heart race so fast, your hands start to shake, and a million what-ifs running through your mind, stopping you in your tracks? Anxiety is like an invisible weight that so many of us carry, yet it often goes unspoken, misunderstood, or even dismissed as just stress. But here's the truth. Anxiety is more than just worry. It's a battle in the mind, a tug of war between the desires to move forward and the fear of what might happen. And for those living with anxiety disorder, this battle can feel relentless. Today, we are peeling back the layers of anxiety disorders, what they are, how they show up in our lives, and how we can manage them. We'll explore practical strategies and remind each other that it is okay not to have it all together. This is a safe space to talk, learn, and grow. So take a deep breath. Exhale slowly, and let's begin the conversation. Remember, this show is proudly brought to you by Miss Your Asian and Younib Organization, and we are trying to reach out to the community to teach you on matters mental health. So if you need any psychological help, you can always call the number 0700 352 250, and our very own psychologist will be able to help you out. Remember, you can also interact with us through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. Allow me to actually introduce to you the guest of the day, who is not a real guest on the screens, yeah, but I'm also excited to have him here in studio. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Peninah.
How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling calm, relaxed, and happy to face the day. That's what to do the show.
Yes, it's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Okay, kindly look at the camera and introduce yourself, what you do, who you are.
Okay, thank you so much once again for having me here. My name is Rodgers Okeyo Manason. I'm not a visitor, as to say, but for the benefit of those who are interacting with this show for the first time, that's who I am, and I'm a psychologist by training. Yeah.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Again, it's always a pleasure having you here, yeah? So today's conversation is about anxiety disorder, yeah? And I'd like you to explain to us how different is anxiety from stress and nervousness.
Okay, thank you so much, Peninah.
Yes.
Once again for yet inviting me here. So, as you've correctly said, today we're talking about anxiety
disorder, yeah.
And anxiety in general, what it is.
Yeah.
But before even we go into that, just allow me to mention that recently we've marked the Mental Health Awareness Month,
yeah,
where the theme for this year was turning awareness into action. I've been following this show, and for the longest time, I know that you're trying to create awareness about issues to do with mental health.
Yeah.
But now we're even being called upon to not only learn about mental health, but also apply whatever we are learning in our day-to-day lives. Yeah. And that's how actually the real change will come to happen. So I'll call upon everyone that does live by that clarion call of turning awareness into action. Okay. And maybe just specifically, how do we turn awareness into action? Perhaps by being more kind to one another, by showing empathy to one another, by providing safe spaces for people to talk openly about whatever they're facing. Yeah. By doing, even also by taking care of ourselves, then we'll be able to turn information that we have into something meaningful that can help promote our mental health. Yeah. Thank you so much. So coming to your question about anxiety disorders,
yeah,
I think the best way to understand this concept is to look at it in two ways. First of all, we'll try to look at anxiety as a feeling before we go into the disorder, the anxiety disorders.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a group of disorders. They're referred to as anxiety disorders. So starting with the feeling, anxiety is a normal feeling that every human being experiences. So we have different forms of feelings, both positive and negative. When we talk about positive feelings, we can talk about something like happiness, joy, those feelings that makes our body to feel good. And then we also, as human beings, we also have negative feelings like sadness. We have anxiety. We have episodes of fear, perhaps. So anxiety is one of those feelings that is marked by being you are worried about something, you are uneasy, you are nervous about something that perhaps is bound to happen, and you're not certain about its outcome. A basic example is perhaps if you're anticipating some news. Let's say if you're a student and then you've done your exams and then you're waiting for the results. You're not sure of whether you've passed or you've failed. So definitely your body will get some kind of feeling, and that's what we refer to as anxiety. And these feelings are normal. As I've said, as human beings, we experience both positive and negative feeling. It's very normal. The only challenge is that when it's not managed correctly, then it can now become unmanageable and bring about a disorder. Yeah. So that's about anxiety, the feeling.
Yeah.
Now, when we go to the disorder, we say that now this is a clinical condition, it's a mental health condition that has been diagnosed as it presents with feelings of excessive worry and fear about an event or a situation, and they might also cause some distress to an individual if when now it has graduated to a disorder. That now there's persistent and recurrent feelings of excessive fear and worry that is causing distress to day-to-day functioning of an individual. Yes.
Okay, now that we've understood about what anxiety and anxiety disorder is, I'd like us now to just go straight to the different types of anxiety disorders.
Okay, so when it comes to anxiety disorders, there are different types of anxiety disorders. I actually base my research on the DSM. As I did mention the other time, DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that classify all mental health conditions. There are quite a number, but I'll definitely focus on those that are very common. The first one that I want to mention is something called generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD in abbreviation. So generalized anxiety disorder is where someone has excessive worry and fear about specific life situations. Perhaps it might be work, it might be family, it might be finances. So you're constantly worried about work, you're constantly worried about your finances. Unashinda ukisema pesa itaisha. That's what you are preoccupied with. You're constantly worried about your family. If you go to, for example, if you are here at work, then your thoughts are at home. You can't focus on whatever you're doing. So that's the first type, the generalized anxiety disorder. Then we also have panic disorders. Panic disorders occur when you get anxiety and then your body starts to react. Especially it usually has physiological manifestations. Like now you might get heart palpitations where your heart is beating rapidly, and then also you might experience shortness of breath. You might also experience chest pain and that feeling of dreadness where you're feeling like you're about to die. And this feeling can last for almost 30 minutes. Yes.
Okay, is it the same as panic attacks?
Yes, panic attacks are what constitute panic disorder. So when you're having a panic disorder, you'll experience panic attacks. So the symptoms that I've mentioned are what we refer to as
panic attacks.
Panic attacks.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So besides that, we also have phobias, and we have different forms of phobias. So there are those that are very common. And actually, we have one that's called social anxiety disorder or social phobia. That one is, even though it's a phobia, it has been classified separately as a type of anxiety disorder. So this is where someone fears getting into social spaces. It mostly manifests when, especially in public speaking. If ever someone has been invited to speak to a group of people, and then they start shaking, or you find either the voice is shaking, or the body is shaking, they are sweating, or even they might lose
That track of
thoughts.
thinking.
Yes. They might even fail to articulate whatever they wanted to say. Yes. So and then we also have specific phobias. A phobia, we define a phobia as an intense and irrational fear about a situation or an object that does not pose any imminent or any actual threat. So perhaps to explain it better, let's say if I see a snake here and I become fearful, that's not phobia because there's an actual threat.
Okay.
But when I see, let's say, there's a pipe or just something, and then my body gets into a frenzy, then that's now phobia because whatever my body is reacting to is not posing any actual threat. And there are different forms of phobias. Maybe I can just mention the ones that are very common. There's hydrophobia. Those people who fear water. They can't even take a bath because of they don't like interacting with the water, perhaps. There's those people who fear darkness. There's a type of phobia where people fear darkness. There's those people who fear women. This is that's kind of phobia. So there's intense and rational fear for something that does not pose any threat to you. Yes.
Okay, awesome. I hope you have taken notes on the different types of anxiety disorders that are there. Yeah? And I'd like to actually ask the question of the day before we take a break. The question is, have you ever felt so anxious that it stopped you from doing something you really wanted to do? What was it and how did you manage that moment? Please let us know through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. Let's take this short break and we'll be back with your feedback. Welcome back. This is still the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah, Wachera, and Rodgers, who is our guest for the day. And today we are having a conversation on the topic, anxiety disorder. I asked you a question, and the question of the day is, have you ever felt so anxious that it stopped you from doing something you really wanted to do? What was it, and how did you manage that moment? I'll just quickly sample some of the feedback. Number one, someone says, oh yes, I once practiced a karaoke song for weeks, but when I saw the crowd, I suddenly felt like a potato with a mic. Ended up pretending I had a sore throat. Classic. Someone says, I really wanted to ask my crush out, but my anxiety was like, nope. So I just waved awkwardly and walked away fast. Now we're just friends who exchange memes. Someone else says, absolutely. I've skipped job interviews because the thought of sitting across from strangers and selling myself made me freeze. It's something I'm still working on, but talking to a therapist has really helped. Someone else says, I wanted to start my own business for years, but anxiety told me I wasn't good enough. It's a daily battle, but breaking down big dreams into small, manageable steps has helped. Someone else says, I get anxious every time I travel alone. I missed out on a trip to my dream destination because of it, but I've been working on small solo adventures and it's helping me grow my confidence. Thank you. There are a lot of feedback that I can't be able to sample because of time, yeah? But before we even go further, do you have any feedback or any comment that you can say from the comments I've just read?
Yes, I think the feedback that we are getting are real manifestation of anxiety. That's how anxiety manifests.
Okay.
Yes, like the one who has said that he had practiced a karaoke song for quite some time, but now when he went to the stage, he couldn't
sing
at our days.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So I'd like us to just continue the conversation. And my next question is, can anxiety disorders really develop suddenly? Or are there any early signs we should look out for?
Yes, so before I even answer that question, Peninah, allow me to mention something that's very important for this discussion.
Okay.
And that is that anxiety disorders are the most prevalent mental health disorders in the world. I don't know if you knew that. Yes, of all mental health disorders, anxiety are the most prevalent, and this is according to the WHO. Actually, the WHO estimates that as per 2019, 301 million people worldwide had anxiety. If you juxtapose that against a population of 7.7 billion by that time, then that's translates to roughly 4% of the whole population. Yeah, so it's something that a lot of people will experience. So that's what we're talking about the disorder. But I've said anxious, feeling anxious is normal. Is like for every person. Every person must have felt anxious at some point in their life. So your question is if it does develop suddenly, or if there are warning signs. Yes. So to answer this question, I'll go back to the feeling. When I was defining anxiety, I said that it's a feeling. And so since it's a feeling, then it means that it's something that we live with on a day-to-day basis. And I've said that what is very important is how you manage it. And perhaps we'll discuss how to manage those feelings so that it doesn't develop into a disorder. So directly, that anxiety disorder doesn't develop suddenly. You'll start by feeling anxious, and then it recurs, and then it recurs. And if you do not intervene, then you might end up developing an anxiety disorder. Yes.
Okay, interesting. I hope we are following up on this conversation and we're getting to learn more about anxiety disorder. To my next question, Rodgers, what are some of the common causes or triggers of anxiety disorder?
Yes. So some of the most common causes, the ones that have been researched on, number one is genetics. It is argued that just like other mental health conditions, just like depression, anxiety too can be passed from generation to the other. Yes. So that's something to look for, especially when we are doing assessment for mental health conditions. We usually try to investigate the person's family history. Like we try to understand if has someone ever had this mental health condition in your family. So perhaps if the answer is to the affirmative, then it means that you're also most likely to experience the same if proper intervention are not done. And so the other cause is we also talk about environmental factors, and this might include perhaps it might be work. You might be working in an environment that is really has demanding tasks that might be making you to feel anxious. It can also arise from family, perhaps. It might arise from finances, as I did mention, and any other life experience. The other cause is trauma. People who have experienced traumatic events or situations are also likely to develop anxiety disorders. Because as I did mention, something like phobia. Let's say you were involved in an accident, a very grisly road accident, and then next time you reach that space, or whenever you reach that area, your body still reconnects to the event. So besides experiencing trauma, you might also experience anxiety or develop anxiety disorder as a result. We also have drug and substance abuse. Actually, there's anxiety that is induced by drugs. Yes, especially people who abuse these substances. It might be mirror, alcohol, bang. You might find that whenever they're withdrawing from those substances, let's say the body has become dependent on the substance, and then they've stopped using the substance for some time. Then you find that anxiety is one of the withdrawal symptoms. That's how their body reacts to the withdrawal. But there are people who also use substances and get anxiety as a result. Yes. Perhaps if I can mention, comorbidity, this means that when two diseases concur, they occur at once. So let's say you might have depression and also develop anxiety disorder as a result. You might have schizophrenia, develop anxiety as a result. Or you might even have these physical ailments. Let's say, for example, you have these chronic illnesses like HIV, AIDS, cancer. You see, they might also bring anxiety disorders because you're always worried about the next stage that you're going to encounter. Yes. So other physical ailments or other mental health conditions can also bring about anxiety, and so they concur. That's we refer to it as comorbidity. Yeah. So those are some of the causes of anxiety disorders.
Of anxiety.
Yes.
I hope you've taken notes. I usually tell you guys that once you're listening to the Younib Breakfast Show.
I can just mention one. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
I left it out. Personality traits. Last time we were talking about personality disorders.
Yeah.
And I remember mentioning the avoidant personality disorder. Those people who they fear rejection and criticism, so they tend to live lonely lifestyles. So see, those people are also prone to social anxiety disorder because whenever they appear in public, their body becomes anxious or they react in it to another way. So some personality traits can also lead to anxiety disorders.
Okay. Yeah. I hope you're taking notes, guys, and we are getting to learn more about anxiety disorder, yeah? And we've been told that so many people are affected by anxiety disorder. But remember, it's not good for you to self-diagnose. It's important for you to actually seek professional medical help, yeah? And you can only do that through a professional, yeah? And here we offer it for free. So if you feel like you are getting some of these traits that we've been talking here, it's important for you to call the number 0700 352 250, and our very own therapist will be able to help you out when it comes to the issue. Yeah, so don't self-diagnose. Yeah. So coming back to the conversation, you've told us about the people who we are most prone, like everyone in the world, is more prone to anxiety disorder. So I'd like to know, how are the people living with anxiety disorder? How does it actually affect their normal life, relationships, their work life, and also their school performances?
Okay. So anxiety, clinically, scientifically, perhaps I can explain some science behind it so that it will better explain how it will affect an individual's life ability.
Yeah.
So you see, the way our brain is structured, we have the prefrontal cortex here. It's in charge of complex tasks like problem solving, reasoning, decision making is done by the prefrontal cortex. And then we have the limbic system. The limbic system mostly encompasses of the hippocampus and the amygdala. The hippocampus is in charge of memory, the amygdala is in charge of emotions. And then we have the brainstem. The brainstem iko huko chini, mostly ni medulla oblongata and also other parts. But mostly it's in charge of our body's autonomous responses like heart rate, breathing, yo kufunga macho. They're controlled by the medulla oblongata. So to put it into perspective is that in a calm state, whenever you're experiencing something, it passes through the prefrontal cortex first because that's where the logical decision making is done. So it will interpret the information and then pass it to the amygdala, tie it to an emotion, and then pass it down to the brainstem, which now will bring a response. Now, when anxiety kicks in, the process is inverted. So the information first of all passes through the brainstem that now prepares your body to respond or to react. And then from there it goes to the limbic system, which now the emotions of fear and worry now kicks in. And in most cases, the prefrontal cortex is bypassed. So you find that whatever you're experiencing or feeling, it has no logical interpretation. So the brain tries to gain control of whatever is happening. but it's not able to. And so when that happens, you find that you're not able to get to have control over any situation of your life. So when it comes to education, to work, to family, based on what I've interpreted, it means that in short that whenever you're experiencing anxiety, you lack control of all all situations. And that's why when you go to education, when you go to work, you won't be able to function effectively. When you go to speak publicly, you've prepared adequately, but you will lose everything that you had prepared. When you're given a mic to say something, you won't say anything at all. The same will apply to family, relationships, and even in other areas of other spheres of life. Yes.
Okay, I hope we've gotten to understand, and we've gotten a mixture of science and interpretation. So thank you for that. I want us to take a short break, and we'll be back with more concerning the conversation of the day. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is still the Younib Breakfast Show, and today we are having a conversation on anxiety disorder. Before the break, we've gotten to understand how somebody with anxiety disorder will, whatever characteristics will affect their relationships, their family relationships, their work relationships, and everything in between for their day-to-day living. So coming back to the conversation, because we've understood the main causes, we've understood about what really is anxiety disorder, and also the different types of anxiety disorder. I want us now to know how we can be able to manage or cope with anxiety disorder.
Okay. So we can cope with anxiety as a feeling. When it comes to disorder, we now talk about management and treatment.
Okay.
So whenever you're feeling anxious, whenever you're feeling anxious, how are you able to, what strategies are you able to apply so that you calm your body back? So let me explain further that whenever you're feeling anxious, your thoughts are not in the present. They're mostly concentrated on the future, the uncertain future, whatever you're anticipating, or sometimes they might be connected with the past. So for you to cope, you have to learn ways of calming your body, and you calm your body by bringing your thoughts back to the present. Sawa. So there are different ways through which, let's say, for example, even you find yourself, let's say I'm seated here and then anxiety strikes me. And I must confess that I'm one person who struggles with anxiety. So what do I do? Number one, there's what we call breathing techniques. The way you learn how to breathe deeply, hold your breath, and then breathe out slowly, so that it calms the body down and bring back your mind to the present. We also have a technique we call the 5-4-3-2-1 technique, where you engage all your 5 senses. You know the 5 senses of taste, touch, sight, hearing, and smell. So the 5-4-3-2 technique, we talk about the 5 things that you can see. So let's say, for example, I can see you, I can see this color blue. I can see perhaps the mugs, the table, and my seat. And then the 4 things that you can hear. Then you go to the 3 things that you can smell, the 2 things that you can touch, and the 1 thing that you can taste. Yeah. Another coping mechanism, you can count numbers, but in reverse order. Let's say from 50 back to 0, or from 100 back to 0. It try to bring back concentration to the present. Some people are even advised to, let's say if you're in the house and you're feeling anxious, you can even just remove your shoe, including the socks, and walk on the tiles, on the floor. That rough or wet or wet feeling will actually calm the body and bring the mind back to the present. The techniques are many. Sometimes there's one that people are even told to imagine situations. You can imagine if you're talking to an audience and then you feel anxious. Imagine that they're all naked. Yes, and then it's really just doing anything that will help to calm the body. I will not talk about exercising because that will come in management of the same.
Okay.
Yes.
That one was about anxiety, right?
Yes,
how we can be able to cope with anxiety on the moment.
Yes.
So now let's get into managing, in which will take us to treatment actually, when it comes to managing anxiety disorder. Okay.
So when the disorder has kicked in, or when someone has a disorder, and I've talked about the different types of disorders, be it general anxiety disorder, be it phobia disorder, be it social anxiety disorder. So one of the ways of managing anxiety disorder is through therapy. And there's this technique called cognitive behavioral therapy, where we try to challenge those irrational thoughts. You see, when someone has phobia, they fear what is not real, what is not a threat. So you try to challenge those thoughts and bring them back to the present. We also have something called systematic desensitization. This one is mostly used to treat phobias, where someone is exposed gradually to something that they fear. Let's say if you have phobia towards water, then you cannot be taken directly to an ocean. So you'll be exposed to like this amount of water. Then next time, maybe a jug, and then taken to a small stream, then same to a river. Then you go step by step until someone becomes used to it. We also have medications for those people who are adversely affected by anxiety disorders. I will not mention the type of medications for fear of self-medication. We also have people are taught relaxation techniques. Some of the relaxation techniques I did mention when I talking about the coping mechanisms, they're also used to manage the disorder itself. And in this case, we have things like the breathing technique that I did mention. We have meditation, yoga. Those are relaxation techniques that help to relax the body and to manage anxiety disorders. We also have support groups. Support groups come in handy when people with the same condition come together to share experiences. And then you come to realize that the burden is not too heavy to bear, that actually other people also experiencing the same situation. And then you can support each other out of it. So those are some of the management and treatment modalities that are used to deal with anxiety disorders.
Now we've gotten to understand the treatment and how we can be able to manage it. So you've talked about support, and I feel like every person needs a very good supportive system. And most times it's a friend or family members that are mostly the support system, or they're supposed to stand in as the support system. And we've seen most people asking, I have a friend who had a panic attack. Sometimes I don't even know what to do. Should I look at them and then allow them to breathe? Should I force them to breathe? Like, so many people have had that question, and they want to know more about it. So what is the role of friends when it comes to supporting people with anxiety disorder, and also family? And also, if time allows, you can be able to actually explain to us, for somebody who is going through a panic attack, how can we be able to actually help them out?
Okay, so as you've said, family is very key in offering support to people who are struggling with mental health conditions, anxiety disorder included. And so specifically when it comes to anxiety disorder, you see, when someone is in that state of uncertainty, and they have excessive fear and worry. Perhaps some reassurance might help. Like when you tell them, you assure them that everything is going to just calm down, everything is going to
fine.
You see, that will be able to calm them down. But also learning about these kind of conditions, and also knowing the specific disorder that someone is struggling with, will go a long way to helping to providing the right assistance for that person. And also I think as I did mention, there's the issue of exposing this person to situations, perhaps with the right support. If you have good friends or a good family, and they are aware that you have a particular phobia or certain anxiety, then they might expose you gradually to situations that are triggering your anxiety, and over time you might become used to it, or even you might feel now calm when interacting with those situations. The family is also it's very important in terms of providing a safe environment where people with anxiety disorders feel they feel appreciated, and also they feel loved, so that they don't when people with anxiety disorders are kind of segregated, it will just make the anxiety worse. But if they're in an environment where they are supported and loved, then that by itself is therapeutic. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that family can support systems, that they can do to help deal with anxiety disorder.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming and helping us be able to understand more about anxiety disorder. And I feel like now we are better off when it comes to matters anxiety. Members or people can actually know what to do when they are anxious. Yeah, they can be able to count to from 10 to 0 backwards. They can be able to actually name 5 things that they can see, and the things that you've said that engage our senses. Yeah, so thank you so much for the conversation that you have had with us here. And I think it will help us so much when it comes to identifying our anxiety and also getting to understand more on anxiety disorder. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elias, for being our camera person and also our director. Asante sana for the good work you are always doing for the Younib Breakfast Show. Yeah, and to you, our viewers, for always tuning in. Thank you so much for the love that you guys out here are showing, and thank you for the positive remarks that you keep on sending our way. We really, really appreciate this, and we really, truly, truly love your comments. Yeah, so remember that it's good for you to actually understand the importance of having this conversation, and it is very important for us to actually spread mental health, because so many people out here are suffering because they don't have help with their mental health. So remember, if you need any psychological help, you can always call the number 0700 352 250, and our very own psychologist will be able to help you out. For now, have a beautiful day ahead. Goodbye.